And in theory, we're live at the moment. Just need to... Yeah, looks like we're live. I just need someone to link it, and then I can mess with the thumbnail after the fact, but we should be live if someone wants to go ahead and link that.
You on Twitch?
YouTube, of course.
Oh, okay, cool. I don't remember.
Once you send that link, we can get the show on the road.
Posting the link in the server.
Probably ping or something for it.
Yeah, do that
How
too.
ping.
I can ping. Okay, yeah, see, it's got the stupid... I have the right title, but the thumbnail's wrong. I'll fix it after. Anyway.
Oh, wait, it didn't let you send it. You gotta go back to Discord. There you go.
There you go.
Okay, hi everybody. We are here for CALLOUS Invitational 7 live play-in drawings like we do every year. It's always me and Jabba, and we always have to find a third guy, so I rattled down the list. I wanted to make sure we get the right person. Someone who's in main event this year, Jumpy23. Someone who I like and respect, Jumpy23. Someone with play and experience, Jumpy23. And someone who's never been eliminated from an ADVOU tour by Bush Tush. So, I asked Super Epic Ampharos to join us here today.
Hello.
Both these
Glad
guys...
to say I've never lost to Bush Tush.
I would retire, personally. Both these guys top 8 finishers last year, top 6 in Jabba's case. Both these guys in play-ins 2 years ago. Jabba ended up winning that bracket. So I think I got the right team for the job. I'm going to set it up the same way I always do. We have the Aqua bracket here, the Magma bracket here, and then a random number generator here. And of course, my little list of players here, which is just alphabetical. So the drawing part will be easy, but real quick, briefly, before we get too deep into it, before the brackets fall, who are, say, 2 to 3 players that you think have a good chance to make it out before we see brackets?
I mean, I guess I'll go first. I'm feeling pretty confident about. I think Bad Dummy has a really good shot, and I'm not just saying that because he's my ADVPL teammate. I think the way he's been playing recently has been great, and I think the teams that he's been bringing to have been very diverse, and he's been able to really adopt different styles, which I think will help him really, really hard here in plans. And for a second player, I'd go with Sadly. If he can clean up like some of his team selection, I mostly just remember like last year, like all those like kind of janky sort of Sally Flygon mag teams that really aren't great because they just lose to Skarmory setting the one spike. I think his play is pretty there, but like, he's got a little bit of funky teams, and I think that he's a pretty good shot this year.
Yeah, I'll second the Bad Dummy. I think he's been just playing at a level that's, I think, clearly above everybody else in the play-ins. So unless something unfortunate happens along the way, I think he's probably the favorite to make it through. And then second, I gotta go with my boy Sprinkles. He's
I'm so unsurprised by that pick.
he's the Callus Cup 1 champion, and he's as long as he doesn't bring Charizard every single game, I go run this bracket.
So I won't keep you guys in suspense any longer. We'll start filling out these brackets, and then I'll also add it to predictions as we go, or maybe I'll do it after the fact. I don't know if one of my mods is watching right now, but we'll have predictions up soon. But we'll do the pairings, and then you guys can tell us the dynamic specifics of the matchup. And once we have brackets, we'll make predictions for who wins each bracket. So we're going to start with the Aqua bracket in the top left corner here. And like I said, the players are just alphabetized 1 through 16 on my little list right here. Okay. So the first number is, and we'll do a big number like we always do. Okay. First number is number 15. So that is Voyager in the Aqua bracket.
Interesting. Okay.
Right, but I'm going to keep you all in suspense. That's how this works. So now we're going to go to the top right of this bracket. We're not going to have pairings for a minute.
Man.
So now we're going to the top right. And that's going to be number 10, which is Leo. We'll go bottom left. 14 is Sprinkles in this bracket. And then finally here, bottom right, is number 8. That would be Colin 7. I could give you guys pairings, but let's go to the other bracket. Yeah. 14, I think we had, yep. How about 3? Calloum in the Magma bracket. Give me a different number. Number 8 is Colin. Number 11, Luthier, however you pronounce that.
Oui.
He's not French.
Luthier.
Going bottom left. 13 is Sadly. Yep, we haven't had him yet, so he's going to be in the Magma bracket. We just need one more unique person, and we'll start to get real pairings. Number 3 we had. Number 9 is Lax. There you go. All right, so we got the foundation here. So time for our first real pairing in the Aqua bracket. This next name is going to be against Voyager. Okay? And that is number 7. That's going to be Keenix. Take it away, gentlemen.
Intriguing. Jabba, you want to go first?
Sure. This is a pair. I know, Callous, you're really high on Keenix. I think these are both mushy guys, right? I somehow haven't really watched much of their games, though.
Oh, you might have just hit a sore spot for Keenix, but go ahead.
Why's that? I don't get it.
He was in the auction, but not purchased twice in a row because we fucked up the cap numbers.
Oh yeah, I remember that. He was it was like 2 guys, right? Him and
Void, I think, got knocked.
Him and Void.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and then Void ended up on a team and Keenix didn't. So like I said, I think you might have.
That's even more messed up. That's fucked up.
Yeah, I think you might have hit a sore spot, but go ahead.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, Keenix. But yeah, it should be a good pairing. I know people are high on both these guys. I know you're specifically pretty high on Keenix. As we discussed, I think during the PPL draft.
I don't know if
so
it was so
good
high
pairing.
on him in ADV specifically.
No, right, exactly. Yeah. I think it was GSC or something. I think he's playing in PPL, right? Or maybe RBY. But as a general player, I know you're pretty high on him. Voyager, I haven't watched many of his matches. I don't know why, because I watch every time I get pinged, but for some reason I don't see his that often. But solid pairing. Are we predicting as we go along?
Sure. We'll predict a bracket winner at the end, but go ahead.
Okay. I think in this specific matchup, I would take. I don't know. Let's just go with Keenix. It's a mental coin flip.
All right. I think this match is going to come down to a few things. Voyager is very, very solid when he uses his very much go-to Scarm balance. He loves the basic stuff, and he's not as strong with the others, but he has very well timed aggression when he's loading his Skarmory, his good stuff, and he can kind of get in his own head a little bit, are they going to counter team me? And he kind of can lend himself to these styles that he's not too familiar with. So, I mean, if Keenix does his prep, he should be prepared for that. But that's assuming that he does prep. So,
well, now it sounds like the only prep he needs to do is watch this video.
Well, I think Keenix is when I watched him in that PP Open where he lost to Tyros, he just loaded straight loose to special offense every game. and that's not what you do against Tyros. So I don't know that Phoenix is going to have proficient prep in this game. I'll take Voyager because I think even if Phoenix does prep, I don't know it'll be good enough to beat Voy.
Yeah, you guys both brought up prep, and that's going to be. I don't want to be a broken record this early in the video, but that's a point that I think is going to get brought up quite a bit throughout this play-in process. I think in the least offense intended way possible. I think a huge part of the reason that a lot of these people are play-in players rather than main event players is for that exact reason. They aren't quite there with how to prep for a specific match or a specific opponent, or maybe they themselves are kind of narrow in the styles that they can bring. You brought up Tyros, for example, who is very heavy with special offense and is definitely worse if he brings something else. And I think the same sentiment applies here. A lot of these guys, as players, are there and could be in the main event. But the real question is whether or not they can make the adjustment. And you guys already kind of covered what I wanted to say. I think they have opposite problems. I think Phoenix doesn't really prep and just thinks he's the best player and has a huge cock and he's going to fling it over his shoulder and just win. And then Voyager is the other way, where he gets in his head, what if he does this? What if he does this? Maybe I should change it up. And he kind of beats himself by making himself uncomfortable. All of that is a long-winded way to say that just recency bias, strictly what I've seen in the past, say, 3 months of these guys playing. I think I like Voyager's game a little better right now, so I'm going to go with him as well. All right, we're going to shift to the right side, same bracket. This is going to be an opponent for Leo, and then after that we'll switch over to the Magma bracket, but let's find Leo an opponent. We have 15 already. How about number 6? There you go. It's going to be Leo against Jim Cool. That's a tough pairing in round 1.
Interesting. Yeah. That's a good one.
Go ahead.
I guess I'll start this time. I'm gonna say I think Leo will win. When I played him a year ago, in the seasonal that I won, I did not deserve to win that set. He just outplayed me. And I think for that reason alone, I have to pick him because he was a better player in that set. I think his team selection as well has diversified since the last time that I played him, and when we did prep for him in ADVPL, it was less about, oh, this guy's just an ABR drone. No, he's definitely branched out a little bit more, and he's definitely just like a really solid player. That's not to say that Jim is bad, but I think that Jim in game isn't going to be able to keep up with Leo. And I think Jim's teams are a little bit more solid, but I don't think that the end game is there.
Sure, I'll follow up. My issue with Jim is more the teams than the play. I think Jim is one of the less consistent players in the pool, but I also think he has one of the higher ceilings. I think the highs are high, the lows are low, but I think the biggest problem with Jim, I think, is the teams. Like I've seen some stuff where it just looks like
like the Dustcloths last year.
Yeah, can you get past could you get past 1400 on ladder with this? What the fuck is this? Like he kind of I love me some creativity, but I don't know that he's mastered his craft just yet. Leo is an extreme case. Leo is like better as a pilot than some of the main event players on his best days, but obviously he doesn't have that every day, or he would just be there. And I also don't know that he builds. I've heard very mixed reports from Leo's teammates. Not this ADVPL, but the one last year. Some people that I'm not going to name that were on his team told me pretty clearly that he is nowhere near main event and needs a ton of help. And then I've heard on the other end that, this guy is pushing 1800 on ladder. I've seen him. We saw him crush Johnny in one of my tours earlier this year. The good days are good. I mean, the dude can play. So it's hard. I think these are not the most consistent players in the pool, but I mean, Jim did make finals of play-ins last year. It's tough. I really do respect Leo, but I'm gonna pick Jim.
Yeah, so I was actually Leo's manager this year in ADVPL, and I think like you've said, on his good days, he plays out of his mind. You know, he's got a high ceiling, but I saw a couple low floors this season that concerned me. Um, you know, I like him. He's a great guy and a great player, but I think sometimes when you're not 100% knowledgeable in a tier, sometimes your late game decision making, like it's not entirely there because you don't know the lines. Because sometimes the lines kind of play themselves. It's not predictions. It's not that kind of stuff. You got to know how to get from A to B, and that's something that comes with experience. And so I think that's kind of what was lacking. You'd see a couple games thrown that were won. So that's what concerns me there. What concerns me with Jim Cool is he's a YouTuber, and you always do your next clickbait. I won a play-ins match with Shuckle. You need that stuff. So that this kind of stuff we're gonna see. We did
If
last year, right? You said
if either of you are watching the stream with volume on, put it on mute because I can hear the echo in the background. I can hear myself, and that's
don't,
gonna carry on the stream. So
don't yell at us, okay? It's
yeah,
not me, by the way.
no volume.
It's not me.
Continue.
So that's my concerns with both players. I think Leo, if he plays these as well as his ceiling, is someone who could just take the bracket. So we'll see what his pairings look like. I like him round one over Jim Cool, but I think it's a close one. But we'll see.
All right, we're gonna move over now to the magma bracket. So we need an opponent for Kaloum. Number 9, I think we had. That's Lax. Number 13, we also had 7, Keenix. I'll cut the list down at some point. Number 1. So it's going to be Kaloum against a Lux in the top left corner of the magma bracket.
All right, I guess I'll go. Yeah, but another set of top end mushy guys. Kaloum is also my teammate in PPL, and I watched his first game, and I don't know if this is a thing that's just known about him. I did hear, I heard rumors that they heavily fished him with the matchup. So I'm assuming that there's a style he likes to bring. I'm not, and it seems to be maybe like sandless, spinless spikes or something along that line. And so they just took advantage of it and completely fished. And if that's something that's consistent, anybody who does a little bit of prep work should be able to deal with that. I know Lux everyone was really high on him. I think earlier in the year he was riding pretty insane. He was taking matches left and right. I've heard he's cooled off a little bit since then, and so he's not at that ceiling. But obviously he's still pretty good. If I had to pick one of them, I'd probably go a Lux.
I haven't seen any of Alexa's games recently because I only really watched him when he actively was playing 2 or 3 years ago. And yeah, you're right about that. He does tend to trend towards certain teams. So I think there's something that can be abused there. I think Kaloum as a player, I don't think it's as good as Alex. I think his teams are more well-rounded, though. I think Kaloum is more... He's more likely to be afraid in-game. He has solid decision-making for the vast majority of it, but I think especially his early game isn't quite there. And I think his mid game is fine. I think his early and late are where he struggles. But I think his teams are better. So I'm going to take Kaloum.
I have to ask before I give mine. Jabba, are you intentionally pronouncing it as mushy?
Yeah. What is it about Mushi? I don't care.
I'm pretty sure it's Mushi.
No, I'm 100% sure. Have you ever seen or heard of the anime Mushishi? It's what it's based off of.
No, I've never heard of it.
Fair enough.
I don't care how things are pronounced.
No, I was just curious. I know sometimes
I'll pronounce them how I want. Now I'm going
I
to
agree.
say mushy for the rest of the time, and there's nothing you can do
Oh,
about
it doesn't offend me one bit. But sometimes, like with jonks,
Clearly it does, or you wouldn't bring it up.
you call him J honks. So you do it. I was wondering,
Jayhawks.
yeah, so I was wondering if he was doing it on purpose or not. I was curious.
No, to me, it's mushy.
That's fine. But
Just
yeah,
like it just like to me, it's Suicune and not
well,
Suicune.
that one's wrong.
Yeah.
But
I know, but that's how I like to do it, and that's how I'm going to keep doing it. And there's nothing you can do to stop me.
I can't. Now, people call the video game too Suikoden 2. That is wrong, but I know it's what it looks like. Anyway, Columina Lux, yeah. Look, on their best day, their best week, their best month, I think Lux is probably the overall stronger player. But if I'm strictly going by the eye test and recency bias, because I don't think it matters how good someone was a year ago or 2 years ago. I just don't. And maybe that's my own ignorance in the way that I evaluate players, but it just, I don't know. It's the same, like, if we're going by how good was someone at their peak, why isn't Dexa in the main event today? And you could do that for a million people. I think how good someone was in the past just doesn't matter. And, I don't think you completely drop off a cliff in a year, but things change in that amount of time. I think Kalum just looks fresher right now. Like I said, I think Lux probably at his peak was better than Kalum, but right now, today, maybe with bias because he's on my Mushi team and I've been watching him a little more closely, but I'm going to take Kalum. And we'll go over to this bracket here. It's going to be Luthier's opponent, still in the Magma bracket on the top right side. And I'll probably condense the list after this, but Sprinkles he can't play against. Number 3 we had is Kalum. Number 4, there you go. It'll be Darth Tyros.
Oh,
This is a fun one. I'm actually really excited to watch this one. Personally, I've never seen Luthier touch a game of ADVOU, but I did watch him play in Smogon Tour this 2 weeks ago, and I was very, very impressed. And I'm a big believer in Mons is Mons, but I don't think Luthier has ever experienced anything like what Darth Tyros brings on a daily basis. I don't think he's prepared for the stupidest special offense builds you've ever seen in your life. I don't think you're ready for lose to CM Bliss in 9 turns. I'll take Tyros.
I'd like to go next. All right, prefacing this with I wouldn't have invited Tyros if I didn't believe. I don't do meme invites. I take the tour seriously. I don't take away spots from deserving players by inviting people that are a joke. Tyros
how
got
do you
better.
play Bush Tush then for 3 years?
Tyros got better. Tyros won a PP Open. He's doing fine. All that said, he's gonna get fucking tossed. Luthier is the best player at all in all the play-ins, and this is actually a nightmare pairing player versus player wise for Tyros because unlike some of these other guys who we talked about before, who like Keenix or whatever isn't going to prep for Tyros, he's just going to bring whatever the fuck he wants to bring, and that's the same case for a lot of these guys. Luthier is actually going to prep, maybe more so than most of these other people. Luthier is going to prep. Luthier is going to counter team him. He's going to be very aware of Tyros' tendencies, and he's going to bring stuff accordingly. And if Tyros doesn't bring things other than special offense, he's going to be out of play-ins faster than Voyager was last year. It's
That's kind of mean.
I'm calling it as I say. This is a really bad pairing. Like Tyros would have been better served against Keenix or against Leo or against someone who isn't gonna prep or Jim who's just gonna bring his own stupid meme stuff and not counter team. That's the pairing that Tyros wanted. But he's against not only the best pure player, but also someone who is gonna prep and is gonna counter his tendencies. I feel bad. I kind of wanted to see Tyros make a run, go to finals, and make it exciting because my chat would love it. But I think this pairing sucks, and I think he's going to get tossed. I will absolutely take Luthier here.
You have little faith. I believe in the dream personally. I think I think Tyros, the AKA the PP Open champion, by the way,
That's right.
defeating such heavyweights as the Sprinkler. You gotta back it. Luthier, I'm with C. I don't think I've seen him play a single game. Was he in play-ins last year?
He was not.
He was not. Okay, he's a new face. Then I have no idea. Um, if you're saying he's gonna prep, then I guess he's gonna prep. I don't know. Who knows with play-ins? It's a coin flip whether anyone preps. I mean, this is the most likely you're going to see all tournament long. Now that I don't think Zomog is playing this year, right? So this is the most play-ins is the most likely you're going to get day one gaming. So I don't. I'll take Tyros though because I believe.
Fair enough. We'll switch back over to the Aqua bracket, but let me just go ahead and cut my list down a bit here. Get rid of the people that have already gotten their numbers called. Not Ima. Okay, Pokology, sadly, Sprinkles. There are really only 4 people left? Yeah, I guess so. So sadly, Sprinkles, Voyager, yeah.
That's how math works.
Yeah, no, we're going through it pretty quick. So these are the 4, so I'm not even going to renumber them. It's just Bad Dummies 1, I missed 2, so on and so forth. All right. Over to the Aqua bracket. This next person is going to be against Sprinkles, and now that I look at the list, it feels like it's fate that it's Bad Dummy because
No way.
not only were they teammates for me and Mushi last year, but I could only keep one of the other this year, and I chose to keep Bad Dummy, so wouldn't it just be so poetic that it's him and Sprinkles duking it out in the first round? It totally is going to be. You know it.
I'm going to claim you rigged this if those two play in the first round.
All right,
Yeah,
well...
I think it...
start with 400, and then we'll go 1 through 4. I'm going to click it once, whatever it is. Here comes the number. 1 through 4. The opponent for Sprinkles will be... Bad Dummy. No, I didn't click it yet. Here we go. Number 3. It is not Bad Dummy. It is Pokology.
Oh my goodness. That is... I have a lot of things to say.
Go ahead, please.
Oh, yeah. What Jumpy just said is correct. This is a fantastic pairing for Sprinkler. I don't think this is going to be close. I think Sprinkler, if he was going to lose round 1, had to get someone who actually could watch replays and actually do a little bit of study work because Sprinkler has some very exploitable tendencies. Sprinkler is only good when he's ahead, quite frankly. And I don't think Pokology builds in a way that is going to exploit Sprinkler, going to set that early advantage and make Sprinkler play from behind, which is where he's at his weakest. Sprinkler is just going to have the advantage the entire set, and Pokology is just going to lose. It's that simple.
Yeah, I'm a big, Callous knows I'm a big Poco fan. I love his builds. So the heat he brings is just great. I played him once where he brought the famed and fabled sub CM Blizzy, which is just magical to see in action. But I think for him, I think Sprinkles is probably the absolute worst matchup he could bring. The type of teams that Sprinkles brings are typically just great into a Poco. This kind of generic arrow spikes, DD tar, whatever Dan gave him last week, or whoever he's teaming with, on Mushi or whatever this season, whatever they gave him this season, that's H-Clat. I think those builds are just really good into Poco, and so I think this is a dream matchup for Sprinkles, and obviously I think Poco, he has it in him to bring something that Sprinkles just, with his, I wouldn't say limited experience because he's been playing a lot lately, but it's not completely there. You see Sprinkles in some of his games kind of fumble the end games, kind of in the same way I was talking about Leo. And I think it's what C said, he kind of has to be ahead. If he's even going into those end games, you can kind of see him fumble them every once in a while, but I don't think that's going to pop up against, Poco. I think that's something that might happen, next round, but we'll see. And I'm taking Sprinkles in this one, obviously.
Well, I would just add that Sprinkles blows anyone would have beaten him, and Poco will win. So, over to the
Well
bottom
said.
left of the magma bracket against Sadly Sayus. 1 through 4. Can't have 3 again. How about 2? Sadly Sayus is going to fight against Ima.
Interesting. I don't think I've ever seen Ima play a game of OU, but I watched Ima learn ADV NU in like a week and destroy everyone who's ever played that tier. So I think that speaks to his ability to learn a metagame. Granted, this is a little bit more competitive. It's a little bit more complex, but he's been around the block enough to where I think that he could really bring a challenge to Sadly. I think Sadly is a far superior prepper than Ima will be. And I think that Sadly will win because he will bring teams that are going to favor him in the experience department.
So Ima's probably more of a work in progress, specifically in the context of ADVOU. Obviously, if we're talking about his accomplishments in Fairy Gens, he's a very good player and has a better resume than a lot of these guys. But strictly in the ADVOU context, he is a work in progress. He peaked in the low 17s on ladder, which is like good, but not incredible. I agree with what you said, just an intelligent guy who can learn a metagame pretty quickly. This is, I mean, how much he's been practicing between when he and I first had the discussion about, hey, maybe you'll be in play-ins, which at this point was, over a month ago, versus now. If he's been practicing playing, taking it seriously, maybe he'll surprise us. If he's just been dicking off and kind of thinking, oh, he's not really going to invite me, why do I bother? Then he'll probably lose. Sadly, historically, even though a lot of guys rate him really highly, has really struggled in play-ins. This is like his 4th time trying it, and he's just never made it out. He's never actually made it to finals even in his play-in bracket. So for whatever reason, he's really had a hard time getting out of it. Not that play-ins are easy, because they're obviously not, but for someone who's so highly regarded, I would think somewhere along the way there would have been a deeper run. I will give Sadly the credit as just a far more experienced ADV player, and I think he'll probably beat Ima here, but my prediction specifically is that he beats Ima, but it's a lot closer than people think, and it kind of looks like he's struggling, and it looks and feels harder than on paper it should have been.
Yeah, so I will, as a counterpoint to C, Sadly Sayus also learned advanced NU in 1 week.
So it's even, is what you're saying.
Not a very difficult tier to learn. Just here's a Glalie and a Matang. Have at it. Good luck. And a water. Yeah, eventually Sadly's got to make it through, right? It's got to happen. Could this be the year? Looking at this bracket right now, it's all going to come down, to where Rick ends up. Is he going to be Magma or Aqua? That's what everyone that's in play-ins is currently sweating over. So it's kind of funny that he's going to be one of the last ones to go. Right? He's one of the last 2.
Yeah, it's him and Zern as the last 2.
Yeah. So everyone in play-ins is sweating right now. They definitely want him in the other bracket. But back to this matchup, with C again, I haven't seen Ima play Advanced OU. I've seen Sadly play plenty of it, and I think Sadly, watching those games, I think this is he can be a bit of a high ceiling, low floor. And I've seen some sets where I'm like, damn, it's Sadly's good as hell. And I've in some SPL matches I've seen, I'm like, damn, that was great. And then other ones I'm like, oh, that was a bit of a rough watch. I'll take Sadly too, because I'm feeling it this year. The final CI supposedly, quote unquote, I think it would only be fitting if Sadly finally made that play-ins run.
All right.
Yeah, I think. Sorry to ramble on, but I think like especially I watched 2 SPLs ago, like Sadly versus ABR. It was Sadly had a one in game and he just got crit, and like we look at Sadly's SPL records and it's like they're not that great, but you watch some of those games, it's like just one or two turns different, and we're talking a different story.
Right.
All right, guys, time to fill out the brackets. Obviously, by filling out one side of it, it inherently fills out the other, but we're going to obviously just talk about one at a time. So this is the Aqua bracket. It's going to be the opponent for Colin 7, and it's either Bad Dummy or Zern. So here it is. Number 1, so it's going to be Bad Dummy. So I'll go ahead and fill them both out. So it's Bad Dummy here, and then Zern here against Lax. But let's just go ahead and talk one at a time. So the Aqua bracket pairing is Colin 7 against Bad Dummy.
I think I would take Bad Dummy here. I'm a big Colin 7 fan. I talked with him a lot before ADVPL, and I think he's a good player. Like watching some of his sets, like I believe his set versus Star for I think it was either seasonal or GC, I was really, really impressed with. I think he played those games really, really well. But that's not the Colin you get every week. Like you watch Mushy League games and he's not all the way there all the time. And you don't really know which Colin you're gonna get. I know that he actually I'm not gonna say that. I don't think he wants me to say that, but I think that it's sort of a consistency issue. I do think that he has that high ceiling to where he can win. But Bad Dummy, on the other hand, I think just has a much higher floor as a player. As long as Bad Dummy strays a little bit from his usual def me sort of balances, and just throws a little bit of a switch up in there, I think he'll be fine. Although I will say, in watching his games, he does love to randomly throw away a very important defensive piece towards the mid to late game. Like he sacked his pert like 2 or 3 times in the first 3 weeks, and when he needed the pert in ADVPL, and I was a little bit upset. But I think outside of those like really tiny fuck up turns where he's played the games largely really, really well, I think Bad Dummy will take this.
Yeah, I think I have a very, as I discussed at the beginning of the stream, I have a very high opinion of Bad Dummy. He's been insane recently. He was insane for us in league last season, and this season so far.
Which league?
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it because I don't want to go through this again. And ADVPL, he's been so clutch. These tie-break matches. Specifically against our team.
6-0 triangles.
He's 6-0 triangles.
I mean, yeah, but triangles blows though. I mean, is there anything?
We thought we had an insane advantage in OU, and then we got 2-0 swept, and he was one of them. But I would have started Dice in the other slot, but that's neither here nor there. So I think he's just been playing, and every game I watch, he looks great. I was actually surprised he wasn't one of the push-ins up to main from the dropouts. I probably would have put him there, but I think he's definitely the best player in play-ins. Colin, I know, is a fan favorite. I know when the play-ins were, when people were guessing, you see a lot of people, Colin better be in, which I don't know if it's swayed your decision making or not, but I haven't seen much of him play. I haven't actually watched many of his matches, but so I'm just gonna take Rick just based on the fact that his games, he looks great, and I think it's gonna be a struggle for anyone in this bracket to beat him.
Yeah, I'm going to take Rick as well. Broken record, but I mean, a lot of these players, both of these players included, are not the most consistent guys. But of the two, I think Rick is more consistent and has the higher floor. So based on that, I'm just going to take him. Again, I wouldn't have invited Colin if I didn't think that he belonged here, and I think his ceiling is quite high, and he could make a run. It's hard for me to bet against Rick right now. He'll probably be my pick when we get to it in a minute to win the entire bracket. Uh, I could see Leo, I could see Sprinkles. There's a couple good people here. I could see Poco. I mean, none of the brackets are easy. Looking at both of them, I think that, as always, one bracket is usually stronger than the other. I think Aqua looks like the stronger bracket to me this year. But sticking to this specific matchup, I'm going to say that Bad Dummy takes it. And we'll move over to this last pairing of Lax and Zern, which Jabba's going to talk about.
All right. Is that Zern, not XRN? Is that what we're going with?
It's Zern.
It is Zern.
Yeah.
You should put an E in there. That's not how letters work.
Don't hurt yourself, Jabba. I know that pronunciation today is the struggle is real.
Yeah. Was Laxon play-ins last year? I think he was, right? Did he?
Lax was not in play-ins last year.
No. Who am I confusing? Who lost the Arctic in round one of play-ins? I keep confusing who that was.
Pogis.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Got it. Lax, I know he's been trying to learn the tier. Recently, I played him in Emerald Open. I think he's been playing a lot of ADV. He's obviously an insanely good player. I haven't watched a ton of his OU matches, but he's one of those players. There's a few in here that I think are probably in here because of their overall skill rather than just their specific ADV OU skill. So it's going to be interesting how those players do. I think historically they usually win one and then dip out the next round, but we'll see how that works this year. Zern, I think I played him recently. I've I have some respect for him. I think he's pretty good. If I recall our set correctly, I think he played pretty well. Nothing against him. So this is an interesting pairing. I forget how I've been historically picking these matches between the mainer and the not. But I think for this one, I'll go Zern. I think he's good enough to take this.
Well, I'm biased here. Zern's like literally my best friend. I've known him for like 8 years. So obviously I'm going to pick my best friend to win. But if I want to talk about the players a little bit, I think Zern as a player kind of can beat himself more often than not. I think he like all of his SPL games that he won this year, he was playing really confident. Like he was really locked in, and he just made like exceptional reads on like basically every turn. But he had those games this year where it's just like he didn't get it going. He wasn't completely locked in, and it's kind of a game to game thing for him. Like he struggles with that consistency. I mean, obviously, I don't. He'll be fine on the prep part. I think I can handle that. But I think that playing wise, I think Lax is going to be a little bit more rock solid. Like I've watched his ADVPL games, so I think he's played those probably about 90% correct. So I think this is actually a pretty even one, or at least it could be. Depends on how much Zern cares. Depends on how much Lax cares. So I'll take Zern though.
Well, we got a couple close pairings in this. This is certainly, in my mind, one of the closer ones, and one of the I wouldn't be surprised by either outcome kind of pairings. Man, these are. I was gonna say that usually you could do the thing where Luthier is a better player overall than Tyros. Is he better as an ADV player? I don't know. But you can't even really do that here either, because Lax and Zern are both kind of generalists. I think Lax is good at GSC, Black White, Fairy Gens. I think Zern is good at lower tiers and plays a bunch of stuff too. These are just two good Pokemon players. I really wouldn't be overly surprised by either outcome. Lax, when I saw him in Mushi League last season, did not look amazing in my mind. He reminded me of when Finch played play-ins. It was just generic TSS stuff, and anyone who knows anything about ADV could make this kind of stuff, and there wasn't really any innovation or anything that might make the opponent, might catch the opponent off guard or anything like that. It was just very samey, very safe, very standard. And I think if Lax wants to win, he should get a little more creative, even if that involves, assistance from somebody that he's prepping with. And then yeah, I mean Zern, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it really comes down to not beating himself. I think if he could just play with confidence and bring 3 different kinds of teams, not play standard on standard against Lax, just get a little creative and not punt. He's got potential in this bracket. I wouldn't be surprised by either outcome here, but I'm going to go ahead and predict Zern to take the victory here. All right. So with that, before we wrap up this video, the final thing is simply predicting a winner in each bracket. So let's just go over to the Aqua bracket, and you guys can take a minute if you need. I can go first or whatever you want, and we can. How does this play out? Who's the most likely winner of this bracket?
Bad dummy.
Yeah, right.
I don't have to think too hard about this one. I have pretty good faith that he will win, as long as he doesn't shoot himself in the foot.
Yeah, I think Bad Dummy's the favorite, and he's going to also be my pick. But I don't. I can see some road bumps, man. I can like if Leo beats Jim and then Leo plays to his ceiling against Bad Dummy, I think that will not be an easy one. And then I think Bad Dummy against, say, Sprinkles or Poco or Keenix, if he's really locked in the finals, I don't think that's a freebie either. I really don't.
I think Bad Dummy versus Leo would be an insane set, and I really want to watch that.
Yeah, I don't think that's a gimme for Bad Dummy at all. I'm gonna pick Bad Dummy in this bracket as well. And if we're allowed to do second choices, I'll say my 2 favorites to win this bracket in order are Bad Dummy and Sprinkles. But if we're only picking one, I will take Bad Dummy. But I don't think it's a shoo-in by any means.
Yeah, I think this looks like a pretty tough bracket. Like if the favorites or what we consider the favorites win in round 1, you're looking at a top 4 where any single one of them, on a normal year, you wouldn't be surprised if they won, their play-in bracket. So, you're looking at Badummy, Sprinkles, Leo, and one of Voyager, Keenix. I think that one's really tight. So I think either one that comes out, the top 4 would be really strong. And, that's one you look at and anyone can really make it through and you wouldn't be surprised. So obviously, Bad Dummy, he's going to be the favorite, but I wouldn't be shocked. Sprinkles takes it, Leo takes it. I think it's going to be tough. And, if we do get that Bad Dummy Leo set, that's going to be, I'm with to see that's going to be a great watch. And I think Bad Dummy versus Sprinkles would be a great watch too. So I'm hoping for those sets, but it's going to be a bloodbath on this side. While the other bracket, I think is going to be more like
hold on,
kids playing.
Your one pick is who?
Well, I gotta take Sprinkles, right? I'm a member of the council, and that would be betrayal of the highest magnitude to not take Sprinkles to take the bracket.
Hey, I'm glad we have some disagreement. It's boring when we all pick the same person.
Yeah, I think give me Bad Dummy, give me Voyager. That's my dark horse. Give me Voyager. If Bad Dummy's not winning, Voy's winning.
Sure, he very well may. And now over to the Magma bracket. I think the Aqua bracket to me looks tougher than the Magma bracket. Not necessarily that the pairings are tougher. A lot of these I think are actually pretty close. Just if I had to rank the players 1 through 16 in the pool, which is obviously super subjective, I feel like a higher percentage of, stronger players. I feel like the overall strength of players ended up a little higher in the Aqua bracket. But hey, that should be a good thing. If you're in the Magma bracket and you think that you're good and think that you can win, you want to be in what is perceived to be the softer bracket. On paper, I mean, this feels like a faded Luthier against Sadly CS finals. Could Zern make a run? Could Lax make a run? Sure. Kalum, if a Lux comes back to form, he could be there. I mean, there's nobody in the play-ins who can't win, or they wouldn't be in fucking play-ins. But
Mm-hmm.
it looks on paper like clearly the best guy on the left is Sadly, and clearly the best guy on the right is Luthier, at least in my mind. That feels like a fated finals pairing in which I will take Luthier to win this bracket.
Yeah, I agree that Sadly is the best player on the left side of this. I'm not as 100% with you on Luthier being the best ADV player on the right. Is he the best player on the right? Yeah, probably. Um, I think Lax at points could give him a run for his money.
First pick in
So
Snake, right?
what?
First pick in the Snake, right? I mean, a lot of
Right.
respect for Lax.
Right, exactly. So I don't think it's as clear cut on the right. I think the right side's going to be a little tougher. Luthier has to get through Tyros too. So the goat. I agree with you. I think sadly, I don't think it's an easy run. The winner of Tulum and a Lux, that's going to be a tough match. Ima's already a tough match, but I do think sadly it's a little bit above on the left side. So if this is the year, then this is the year. This is a little easier than he's had in past years. I would say. When he's had to play players such as Jabba the Griffin, who there's no chance of making it through that guy. I'll tell you that much.
I heard that guy's pretty good.
Yeah, he's the goat. Some would
It
say.
just shows you that there's a lot of variance in this game. There's not enough skill.
Yeah,
The right side though, I couldn't pick a winner. I think this is going to be tough. I want to go Lax. That's what my gut's saying. So that's what I'll take. I'll take Sadly versus Lax. And I got to stick with what I said earlier. I think this is the year Sadly makes it through, and we finally see main event Sadly happen.
So you've got Sadly beating Lax in the finals and Sadly winning the bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
I just want to say, Plains is really hard.
Yes.
It's harder than main event. I'm gonna say that. Having been in both, I think Plains is much harder than main. I think it's really hard to make it out of play-ins. So I have a lot of respect for anyone who accepted a play-ins invite, because I don't want to go through play-ins again. If I was offered a play-ins invite, I probably would have rejected. And for Sadly to go through play-ins several times at this point, I'm sure it's grating on him, but I figure, he'll be motivated. At least I hope so, to finally make it out and finally shut up the doubters. I think I'll take Sadly on the left side. On the right side, it's kind of just a toss-up. I think these sets could be honestly great, or they could be total stinkers. Like, I think Luthier Tyros is going to be perhaps the most one-sided series of the whole play-ins, and I don't know in which way it's going to be one-sided.
I do.
I mean, yeah, but who says that Luthier doesn't just win with CM Blissey in 10 turns, Like,
no,
who's to say?
I hope Luthier brings CM spam against Tyros and just topples him in his own game. I hope Luthier brings special offense into Tyros.
I think that would be actually a great pick, and I hope he does that. I'm going to take on the right side. I'm going to take my man Zern, because I'm probably going to be building for him, and I hope he doesn't fuck up. And I don't want to see Sadly versus Zern, because they're both my friends, but if I had to pick one, I'm sure the other one will yell at me. I'll take Sadly.
I mean, it's a good problem to have, right? That you have two friends in this bracket and just basically double the chances that at least one of your friends makes it out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, half of these guys are my friends, honestly.
Yeah, no, it's a great group. A lot of nice guys here. A lot of people I've known for a long time. But nature of the beast, only one person makes it out per bracket until Bruno drops out, and then a third person makes it. Final thoughts, guys. We got our predictions. Anything you want to add?
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for your time.
It was a great. Good luck to the competitors, and may all your fire blasts burn.
Appreciate it, guys. And the predictions will be up momentarily after the stream. Let me know what you think. And I'm obligated to tell you real quick at the end, donations. We're still taking them. We need them. You guys know the rules by now. Click the link, non-refundable. All of it goes into the prize pool. Please consider supporting the tour. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. And we're off.